Well, welcome back to another episode of Buffalo Happy Hour. Mike, what's going on?
Derek, we're in a one of our favorite towns. Mm-hmm. Technically, this is the village.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big deal. But we'll start with introductions. We'll start with where we are, down to the address, because I think it's important.
That is important.
It is.
Yes.
And then that way people can see where they're going. And then from there, we can dive into everything you do inside and outside of the U.S.
Got it. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So we're at Guild Eyewear Studio. We are at 48 Douglas Lane in East Aurora, New York. Zip code 14052.
Love it.
My name's Ashley. I'm the optometrist and owner here at Guild. I just opened this past summer, end of August. August 25th was our first day. So we are brand new, but it's been a wonderful experience so far.
How was it opening this location with the village when you were proposing everything and trying to get this building?
Yeah. So gosh, I started the process probably around 2020. We were home, COVID. I was working on a few different offices. The idea kind of, started formulating, and the process from initial idea to actual implementation was probably about a year and a half. East Aurora, South Towns, I kind of grew up in this area, so I was always partial to it. Looking for the space was actually quite challenging. Again, we were going through the COVID time, so I thought, oh, well, there's going to be businesses kind of transitioning to maybe like online formats or downsizing. I could not find real estate, which was a great thing. It meant East Aurora was, definitely a spot to be,
Sure.
But it was also stressful. So it was around the summer of 21, and I would come to East Aurora and I would just walk up and down Main Street, side streets, looking for anything that, might be going up for rent. And the sign went up here for rent, called them, was here the next day, and here we are. So it was just really a matter of timing. As far as the village was concerned, leading up to that, I'd been working on my business plans and loans and all of that. So there wasn't too much. And because I am renting as well, I think that maybe was a little bit less invasive than
Sure.
if I was buying the property. It was already zoned to be retail and business. So it was actually, that part was easy.
Yeah.
Fine.
Is this classified as retail when it comes to zoning and things?
Yes. So most people are familiar with the location because it used to be the West End Gallery. And Michelle Vogel, who was the artist and designer here, her and her husband still own the building. So I rent from them. But after she had moved out of her space, Buffalo Rehab Group was in here for just a real short time. And then I followed up with Guild. So yeah, it was zoned for business, retail. So I didn't have to go through any type of red tape in that area. It was zoned already for what I needed, which was nice.
Sure. So you obviously went to school for this. What is a degree in eye care look like?
Yeah. So, great question. I grew up in Fredonia. I went to SUNY Fredonia for my undergrad. And then following that, I did 4 years in Boston at the New England College of Optometry. So kind of like a similar track to, say, dental or physical therapy. It's usually an undergrad and then a 4-year program. I graduated in 2018 and missed Buffalo, so I moved back home. I was working in ophthalmology for a few years, so lots of LASIK surgeries, cataract surgeries, co-management, really focused on medical. That wasn't my forever, though. COVID hit, I decided to get into private practice, and I was working at a couple different offices in the area, and it didn't take me long to realize that, oh gosh, nothing against these offices, but I wouldn't come shop here.
Sure.
I wanted an experience. It wasn't giving me an experience. I wanted something a little different. But yeah, I went to school in Boston, so that kind of 4-year track. There was no business though. Nothing in regards to business. I think we maybe took a 5-hour seminar on business. So that was kind of all self-taught as I started
Sure.
the process and decided to do this.
Well, yeah, I mean, that has to be challenging when you're getting into this because I feel like there's not many private practices, or at least I just don't know of them. I see the places in the mall, and
Yeah.
that's it. So is that where you started? Was a mall eye care place? You don't have to call that place out. But.
Yeah, so like the chains, some of the bigger names that you'd be familiar with, you'd see them in a lot of like the strip malls too. I did work some weekends there, but I started in a local ophthalmology group. And then I was working in more of the private practices. So I did a couple in the South towns, a couple in the North towns. But I found kind of similar to even some of those chains as well, or like the malls, they all felt the same. Like it was the same thing. Even in the private practices, the chain stores, it was a very similar experience. And it was just one that I kind of was like, bored by.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they were the same?
How long do we have?
Right.
So part of the reason is the eye care industry, it's a monopoly. There's a few big companies, and I won't name names, but there's a few big companies that own many of the eyewear products that we see. They basically own the rights to the labels. So they're just all mass produced. They slap a label on them and then they go out to the different stores. They also own those retail stores. And then they also own the vision plans that send people to those stores.
Makes sense, yeah.
So basically what was happening is a lot of these private practices, okay, they were a private practice, Dr. So-and-so, but they were kind of like owned by the companies that they worked with, if that makes sense. They were almost just like another one.
So for your aspect, when you're like, I don't necessarily see myself going this route anymore and I want to do my own, what's the process for you to even like do research on if this is like, because this is very different from anything that I've ever seen. So what was your process on trying to get into something like this then?
So the first question I Googled was how to start a business.
That's amazing.
I was very overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my gosh, again in school, I did like 4 years of optometry school, so 4 years of like science-based courses, patient care, working in the hospitals, but nothing in regards to business. So I really just started with Google. And then I did reach out. There's some groups in the industry that help like cold starts and new practices. So I reached out to them. I found one that I really meshed with. I shared my vision, what I wanted to do, and it was in line. So I decided to work with them, and they definitely helped me kind of take those next steps, what to think about. And then I also worked with the local Small Business Association over at Buff State. Marilyn Roach, she was my advisor.
She's amazing.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful,
she's awesome.
Wonderful woman. So she helped me as far as like kind of New York State stuff, getting that process rolling. So yeah, it was just finding really, really good advisors. They kind of led me to the next steps, and then I just had to work through the process.
Sure.
And I will say, the process itself, there wasn't like, what I was most surprised by, nothing was really that difficult. It was just a lot of steps.
Sure.
That's literally everything New York State. None of it's hard. It's just most people aren't willing to do all the hoops and just deal with the paperwork and then figure out like, oh, I was supposed to file this then. And it's just the simple stuff where you're just like, that's really annoying. But okay, it's part of owning a business, I guess. And then once you umbrella everything, it just goes like that. So to your earlier point about how there's essentially 3 to 4 massive organizations that own eye care, which is generally why we would see the same similarities across the board, because they know it's scalable, it's rinse, wash, repeat. They can do it state to state. It's nothing difficult. You just need a building with a roof, right? 100%. And then it's the same lights, it's the same shelves. Because when I grew up, the deal that we were obsessed with was buy one, get one. Because if you bought a pair of glasses for like $110, then the second pair is free. And I was a boy playing sports, and I would run into trees, and I'm just like, oh, because I was playing baseball. I'm like, okay, well, there goes my other pair of glasses. They were my favorite, but I have the second pair that's almost identical. So going through that whole experience and transition, do you see a lot of kids here, or is it mainly, like, what's your demographic? Because if I was a kid walking into this place, I wouldn't know what to do. Whereas before, because I'm coming from the generation of it's BOGO, right? Yeah. So I'm going to go and get my little eye exam and say number 1 or number 2. And then I'm going to go and see all of these rows of glasses and then pick one out that I like and look at the super annoying mirror, you know? So like, how was that experience and what's your demographic here? Because this place is like bougie.
Thank you. I would say our demographic is definitely, like me. I kind of young, like 30s, maybe like 20, early 30s, like 20s, and then also kind of like that mid, maybe 50, early 60s range. Somebody that's looking for, I don't want to say a better experience, I want to say an experience. Sure. Because going to the eye doctor, like you said, it was just kind of like, okay, something you have to do. It was boring. It wasn't something you looked forward to. It wasn't like, oh my God, I get to go to the eye doctor. We have weekly, like our patients, again, kind of in that demographic range, they're just looking for an elevated experience. They'll come in, and when they're leaving, they're like, oh my gosh, this was so much fun. Or they say like, oh my gosh, I just want to I want to come hang out here. And we're like, please, like anytime. That's what we designed it for. We didn't want it to feel like, oh, it's just something I have to do maybe once every year, once every 2 years. It's like something that like, hey, you're out running errands, like, let's go stop at Guild and see what they have. Like, let's go talk to them. We really wanted it to feel approachable. So again, that was what I was wanting, what I couldn't find. So it's like, okay, if I'm wanting that, there has to be other people who are wanting that. And I do think that tends to be more of maybe that millennial generation. That's what we've come to expect from companies. So yeah, we definitely see a younger demographic. But that being said, too, we see kind of like an older, maybe middle-aged or even retired demographic. Yeah. Really anyone looking just for something different.
That's a really cool point that you bring up with people wanting to come in and kind of experience it, because the big box chains are like, you're going to come in for an eye exam and then we'll get you glasses. Here it's like, you don't even really need an eye exam. Just come in here and shop, because this is a cool place to be, and you can like grab a coffee and sit down. Like, that's sweet.
Yeah. So if someone's brand new and they need a pair of glasses, what could they expect when they walk in? What is the experience? So
well, one of two things. Either one, if they need an eye exam, and we'll start with that. I'm your doctor. A lot of times, it's so bad. I introduce myself. I'm like, hey, I'm Ashley, and we're talking, and then I take them back to the exam, and I'm like, okay, by the way, I'm your doctor. Like, we keep it like super, like just casual and approachable. So if you needed an updated exam, we'll do that first. And then from there, or if you come in already with a prescription, then we'll head over to the optical. Lisa, who I don't think you had a chance to meet, she's my optician. She is incredible. And there's no one better at picking glasses. So we kind of get to know you. What either you're wearing in glasses, what you're looking for. If you have current glasses, like, what do you like about them? What don't you like? You want to change it up? You kind of want to keep it similar? And we are your personal shopping consultant, because I think at a lot of those other stores, you're kind of like, okay, here's the glasses. Good luck. No. We reserve an hour for every patient, and we're with you every step of the way. We usually spend that full hour looking at glasses. We'll check everything out. We'll get a pile of maybes. Then we'll kind of narrow it down. And that's the fun part. And usually patients, they always say, they're like, I never got this attention before. Like, this is so fun. So it's truly like, if you were to go into like any kind of like high-end store, you have a personal shopper, like that's us, but for your glasses.
That's sweet. So going back again to the big box, because you said that they own a lot of the glasses too. Do you run into any roadblocks of you can't get a certain glasses that people want because that big chain owned it, or not really?
Not to cut you off, but listen, Eagle Eye, they're called frames, okay? Yeah, they're called frames. Derek doesn't know the struggle like we do.
Sure don't.
You don't wear glasses?
No.
Neither do I.
Hey, there we go.
I know, so how I got
So you're the one out.
Look, listen,
Bud.
I had that hard experience. I learned the language, Derek. Learn the language.
So, great question. We have some of the familiar name brands, Ray-Ban, of course. And if we contract, I know, can I say it? If we contract with the companies, we can get the frames, no problem. So we do have some of those more well-known. But we contract with a lot of independent brands, which I love because they're super unique. You can think of it like your mom and pop shops, your small businesses, but it's that way for frames. And they're so cool. Like, because people will come in every single day and they're like, it was at my other office, but I didn't find anything I liked. And they come here and we have like 10 pairs and they're like, I can't decide. And so what we've been finding is some of those more popular brands are not our best sellers at all.
Okay.
It's these more unique, smaller lines that people don't find elsewhere, and we can't keep them in stock. We just got an order. We were in New York. We went to the show out there. Already gone. Like, we're amazed, truly, by like just how well people have been responding to them. So it's super cool.
That's really sweet. So if somebody has glasses and they're coming in to buy new ones, they have old ones. And we got to get to talking about one of your initiatives with old glasses. So can you talk a little bit about what you've been doing?
For sure. So I had a wonderful opportunity to travel to the Dominican Republic on a mission trip. My fiance, actually, he's a dentist and he works in the dental industry. He's at Cornerstone Periodontics in East Amherst. And they have been taking this trip for the last few years. So this time around, they invited me. I said, yes, of course. And I had gone on one other when I was in school. I went to Peru. So I had a little bit of an idea of kind of like what I would need. And I knew immediately we're going to need glasses and we're going to need a lot of them. So we started a donation drive. Any old glasses, whether they're prescription, whether they're just like over the counter, like those reading glasses, or non-prescription sunglasses, which are really important. Really anything you had laying around that you weren't using, bring them in. We clean them up, we read the prescription, and then we pack them up and I take them with me down there. And then the way it works is with my tools, I can check a patient's prescription. So I kind of say, we'll just use an easy example. Say this patient is maybe around like a -2. Then I look in all our glasses that we have and I see, all right, well, this one's kind of close. We'll give it to them. And it's almost like a matching game at that point. It might not be perfect, but at least they're getting something.
Sure, better than nothing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's sweet.
Is there any way to quantify the amount of people that you've helped?
Well, the response was incredible. I think we had over probably like 3,000 glasses donated, which was really cool.
Are they all assigned to a human?
Not yet. No, not yet.
Okay. I didn't really know how else to phrase that, but like that's a lot of, if every patient gets an hour.
I know.
Yeah.
So we still have a bunch of glasses in the basement. Actually, I couldn't take them all. There was too many for just like me to take this time around, which was amazing. But they're all measured. They're ready to go. We're planning for our next trip. But we got back about 2 weeks ago. And I would say over the course, and it was just me this time, we probably saw about 100 patients, dispensed about 200 glasses because we figured they had a prescription pair and then some sunglasses.
Cool.
So we're really happy with that. And then our goal for next year is to increase that, make the process a little bit more efficient. There's definitely some new technology and different tools I want to take down that would make it a little bit easier, where they could utilize those glasses even if I wasn't there. They could like determine the numbers and kind of keep things going.
So you said non-prescription sunglasses are a big deal. Can you talk a little bit about, because I think people think like sunglasses are kind of a fashion statement, but they're actually really beneficial for you.
Super
so
beneficial.
Can you talk about that and the harms of not having them?
So when we were down there, the one thing that I had absolutely nothing left of was the non-prescription sunglasses. It is like the first thing that goes. It's what people are looking for because anyone can wear those. Even if they do have a prescription, like you can still put on sunglasses and it's going to help you. It's going to, make your vision more comfortable. In countries like the Dominican Republic, the sun is so intense that it's just a daily factor. And what happens is that intense sun exposure, it does cause cataracts to progress much more rapidly. So they get them at a much younger age, at a greater severity level. And if you've had grandparents or anyone who's gone through cataract surgery, it can be very detrimental. So if these patients are getting cataracts, in their 40s or 50s, and they can't get surgery, the rest of their life becomes very difficult. So if we can get them some sunglasses, a non-prescription pair, which is, we could probably buy it at the dollar store here, that can help them protect their eyes. It even acts for some people as like safety eyewear. They're like out in the fields and everything. But if we can slow down that cataract progression, that's going to give them many more years of at least more like usable vision,
Sure.
as opposed to getting to a point where they need surgery and they can't get it.
I have a question about eye colors.
Yeah.
So we don't have to dive too much into it, but can you explain why certain eye colors are more like sensitive to light?
So like blue eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's just basically like skin tone. Typically, you're going to see blue eyes on more fair skin. So it's just less pigment. And so just like fair skin is going to burn more easily, the same is kind of true for the eyes. You're going to be more light sensitive. Whereas darker eyes are going to have more pigment and they're going to be able to tolerate it a little better. So yeah, it's basically just like skin tone and how you might burn in the sun versus tan in the sun.
Sure.
So why would LASIK have an impact on that? If you have blue eyes, then you get LASIK and or PRK. Like PRK, I understand, but that's because there was a ton of research where it's just like which one should one person do, and then it's just two different procedures. Of course, you know that, but the viewers might not. So LASIK is the incision, the flap, they drill the prescription in, flap closes, eye heals. PRK, they dissolve a layer of the eye. So it makes sense because you're literally losing a layer. But if it's LASIK, they're still saying that it's also just as detrimental to your eye and they're more sensitive to light after LASIK with blue eyes than before. But why?
Yeah, so you're just changing like the structural integrity at the front of your eye. So LASIK and or PRK, they both, the way they work is on the front surface of your eye. That's the cornea layer. It's the clear part. It covers your eye. And with LASIK, what you're doing is you're just changing the thickness of that. By changing the thickness of that, you effectively change the optics, and so you're changing where the light hits the back of your eye. The light needs to perfectly line up with the back of your eye for you to see clear. If it's too far in front or if it's too far in the back, it's going to be blurry. Glasses can change, where it hits, or LASIK, by changing the thickness of the front, changes that too. So with LASIK, like you said, they create a small incision, lift a flap, and then that top layer, they kind of treat under it. They take away some. So they're taking away some, and then they put the flap back over. It heals quicker and it hurts less because that top layer, they didn't really they just kind of peeled it back, treated under it, and then they put it back on. So it's like it's much more comfortable, and it's a quicker healing process. The PRK, they're doing the same thing. They're taking some of that layer off, but they're treating right on top. So it's like that top layer, it's like if you got cut, it's going to hurt. It's like you're going to feel it. So it takes a little bit longer to heal. But there's no flap that could possibly get dislodged or moved or anything like that. But in both cases, they're changing the thickness of the front surface. They're changing that front surface of your eye. So it's unfortunately, it is a side effect of LASIK surgery. You might be a little bit more light sensitive, or patients will find nighttime driving. They feel like they have more glare and halos. It's just one of those things that unfortunately can't be avoided because you are changing the structure a little bit, and it's just going to be a side effect. But I would say most patients find that the vision improvement is totally worth, a little bit of sensitivity, and they'll just say, I got to wear sunglasses a little bit more, or something like that.
But you can get sunglasses here, so who cares?
You can get sunglasses here. We got fun sunglasses.
So how can people follow you and come here and even donate glasses for your next mission trip?
Yeah, so they can find us at 48 Douglas Lane in East Aurora. Yeah, they can book appointments online. If you need an eye exam, you do need an appointment. And then if you're just coming in to shop for glasses, we certainly accept walk-ins, but we do encourage appointments. Because like I said, we reserve time to spend with you, and we have to take our appointments first. So if you really want a true shopping experience, book an appointment. You can do that right online. You can follow us on social. I would say we're most active on Instagram, and that's at Guild Eyewear Studio. And you can even book through there. We have the scheduling link as well. And then you can stop in the office or pop them in the mailbox if you have any glasses to donate. We're going to keep the collection going because we do plan to go back down for another trip. So if you have any old glasses to donate, feel free to bring them in. Or if it's after business hours, you can always just pop them in the mailbox.
And vision insurance is all covered here?
So that's a great question. The vision insurance is kind of part of the monopoly.
Okay.
So
makes sense.
Great way of putting that.
So we can still use your vision insurance. The way we do it is we don't contract with the vision companies. And the reason for that is then they can't tell us what to do. If we contract with the vision company, they tell us what we have to sell you. They tell us what we have to price it at. They tell us where your glasses have to get made. And it's basically, again, like every other store. So the way we do it here is we just offer really free and transparent pricing. By not contracting with the vision companies, essentially, we don't have to mark our prices up just to mark them down. Like, we just lowered everything across the board and made it fair. So you can get a full exam and contact lens fitting for $50.
Really?
We haven't even touched your insurance yet.
Wow.
And then all our Ray-Bans, like what you would find on the Ray-Ban pricing, like on their website, it's not going to be any more. Like, we're just charging fair across the board. So patients usually find that when we price things out for them, they're like, but wait, like, that's less than I paid with my insurance, or like, that's what I paid with my insurance. I'm like, exactly. Like, by taking them out, they're just a middleman. We just kind of put them on the side. And patients are really super impressed because we can give them more options. We can give them a better product and service. And then we just submit to their vision plan after the fact. So we'll submit out of network. So we do a fee for service, you pay up front, and then after the fact, we'll send in a receipt to whether it's iMed or VSP. And depending on your plan, they just send you a reimbursement check.
What a crazy business model, just fair pricing.
I know, common sense is insane.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I know that we wanted to finish up and make sure we covered everything. So thank you so much for sitting down with us. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to hit on before we go?
Yeah, one thing is we were talking about the glasses. My favorite part, actually, of not being contracted with the vision companies is all our lenses are made right in Orchard Park.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, we have a local lab, so we literally, I'll take the bag after we leave here today, gonna go drop it off, they'll make the lenses, and then we pick it up on the way back, like a few days later. Because that's the other thing, like the vision companies are like, you have to send those glasses to Illinois. Like, just some random place in the U.S. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So we keep everything local, which is super cool.
And probably much quicker, right?
So much quicker. But yeah, it's been wonderful. And like I said, I really feel good because not only are we supporting small businesses on that scale, but just through all the products that we use and the service that we're able to provide.
That's amazing.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you guys.
Everybody go check her out. If you're in the market just for even non-prescription sunglasses, just come on in, book an appointment, and she'll take care of you. Thank you.
Thank you guys.